What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six podcast. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here, taking a break from our All 32 series to talk shop with Sportsline analyst Alex Selesnick, aka Propstars, to give you our best bets now that we are 50 days out from NFL kickoff. I, for one, could not be more excited. Alex Selesnick, Propstars, first time on the show. Welcome. How we doing? How's the bear doing?
Katie, we are doing great. The bear is fired up. Will, it's great to see you. I'm a huge fan of this show, so it's an honor to get on here. I absolutely love NFL's futures content, so this is so exciting for me. I'm excited to break all these picks down.
Well, we appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours, Alex, as well. And NFL futures is like the NFL season futures is like the best thing in the world because it's so. I mean, we did this in 100 days out, and we're like, all right, let's do it again at 50. Let's run it back at 25. At 10, I mean, like, and the 100, you're like, I mean, like, I get it. It was 100 days, but it's like, okay, that's a long time. 50, I'm kind of like, oh, snap. We're getting like creeping. When somebody says we're 25 days away from the NFL season starting, I'm going to like have hot flashes. Can I have hot flashes? Can I have hot flashes? I guess I can.
You can. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yes, you can, but probably not correlated with menopause, I would assume.
I wouldn't rule it out, Catherine. I wouldn't rule it out.
I've seen the movie Junior, so yeah, who knows? Anything can happen. But I will say that it's been like a slow burn, right? It's like we had the draft, we had not training camp, that's coming up, mini camp, those things. But then all of a sudden we had the quarterback documentary on Netflix, which I binged in like 24 hours. We've got the Jets on Hard Knocks coming up. It's like we've just been hit in the face with football and that football is back. And I'm so excited. But I will say, what did you guys think just real quick about Aaron Rodgers saying that they're not going to give NFL films as much as they normally would for this Hard Knocks season? It's kind of BS.
I think that's an Aaron Rodgers thing to say. If there's like a contrarian take, he's going to give it out. If he's going to, kind of make some headlines, I feel like he figures out a way too. So I'm not surprised whatsoever. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to do Aaron Rodgers, and that just makes all the sense to me.
It's like, so it's, I mean, here's what's going to happen in my opinion is Rodgers is going to talk about how we're just not going to give him anything. You don't have a choice. You don't get to pick what they get. Like they put the cameras everywhere. Like you're gonna be a quiet non-leader because the cameras are there. Oh, that's so sad, Aaron. Like whatever. I mean, like come on, man. NFL Films is all over every NFL game and like every NFL stadium 24/7. The Packers have been putting out like Rodgers doesn't. Rodgers gonna give. I think if anything, Rodgers gonna heel turn here and be more of a leader on purpose because he knows it's going to be filmed. Like he's gonna be more vocal than he might normally be because he wants the world to think, God, this guy's a great teammate. He, all that stuff about him in Green Bay is BS. He's locked in. He loves his teammates. He's there early. He's at every practice. He's grinding his ass off. And he is just the most vocal leader in the history of football because that's what he wants. He will make it. He'll probably like eat mushrooms or something on one episode, but like he will do all the dark retreat. He will make it about him. I hope he does ayahuasca.
Yeah, I would love to see Aaron Rodgers on ayahuasca and in a dark room in between during training camp. But I will say it's been so fun to see him. Vibes are high. Taylor Swift concert at the Garden. And then all of a sudden, one little thing that he doesn't like happening. He's like, well, I'm not going to give you what you want. It's like, oh, there's the lovable prick that we all know. But anyway.
Yeah, I will say it is in his defense.
Okay.
Tom Brady, 2020.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, 2021. Russell Wilson, 2022. None of them, I mean, they all got the scrutiny of changing teams via trade. Tom Brady's a free agent. All high-profile guys who shifted teams, high-profile quarterbacks. The first who won the Super Bowl. Russ did not. I don't know if you caught that last year. But if I were Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, dude, that's BS. Yeah. I have to get Hard Knocks. Like, come on. Like the Jets, like the come on. But the NFL, the Jets meet all the criteria. So you banged. Rodgers.
That is fair. Discount double check. Oh, I just did a package for that on Sportsline. Anyways, all right, let's start this show now, guys, and let's talk about our 5 very best bets that we are making right now. 50 days to kick off, and I am going to go first. When I'm done with these, we will choose as a group which one of my 5 bets we like the best. That is going to go on a board, I believe. And then we will do Propstars, and then we will do Brinson's, and we'll have those top 3. And then we're going to go and revisit them and pick 2 more for the top 5 Pick 6 podcast bets leading into football. Here we go. All right, Brinson, you already know this. We talked about this on my show, Moxie Bets. We also talked about it a little bit on this show. I'm taking Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen to win MVP. That's at plus 190. You could take the field. That's at minus 240. Mahomes is an MVP threat every single year, right? Maybe there's a little voter fatigue, but it's also Patrick Mahomes. We just saw him on quarterback looking like a badass. So I like that. And you have the Bengals. That's my preseason pick for the Super Bowl, plus 1,000. In order for that to happen, Burrow likely going to have an amazing year. Josh Allen, a little bit of a question mark if you look at these top 3, probably the least likely of the trio. We'll see how he improves on those interceptions this year. But if you're telling me I got to pay nearly $2.50 to bet against these guys, I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to take the chalk here, plus 190 for those guys, and chalk meaning like top 3 guys. All right. Also, AFC Super Bowl as the winning division, plus 340. I've got a lot of AFC bets, North bets right now. The Bengals to win the Super Bowl, I just told you, plus 1,000. I also like the Ravens as a value pick to win their division at plus 275. But my favorite bet has to be that this entire division is going to win the Super Bowl. It's at plus 340. We look at the quarterbacks. You got Joe Burrow, Mahomes kryptonite, beat him 3 times, only quarterback to do so. You got Lamar Jackson, who just got paid. He has a new offensive coordinator. He's got new weapons. You got Watson, which, depending on how you look at it, could be bad, could be good, but we do know that he has the potential to be great. They have the greatest head coaches, or at least 3 really, really good ones. John Harbaugh's already won a Super Bowl. Zach Taylor, Super Bowl, in his 2nd year, didn't win, but got there. Mike Tomlin never had a losing season as a head coach. Tough defenses, crazy weapons. I think that the AFC North could be the division to beat. My next bet, offensive player of the year, Christian McCaffrey, plus 1,100. Now, he's the favorite, but plus 1,100 doesn't necessarily feel like chalk here. And Brinson, we talked about this on our Niners All 32 pod. He's such an impact guy that it's really easy to forget that it was a midseason trade. Like, what can we expect from a full season of Christian McCaffrey in a Shanahan offense? I'm going to say offensive player of the year is what we can expect from him. He does it all. He's a Swiss Army knife, running back, wide receiver, quarterback. He even blocks sometime, which I don't recommend that they continue putting him in that position. Somehow he was snubbed from making the Pro Bowl last year. Absolute insanity. If you look at his pace, listen to this stat. McCaffrey was on a 17-game pace for 257 carries, 1,204 yards, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 85 catches, 478 yards, and 7 more touchdowns through the air. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Give me Christian McCaffrey for offensive player of the year. Next bet, I'm going Derrick Henry to have the most rushing yards at plus 800. He is not the favorite in this. You've got Chubb as the favorite. Then you have Jonathan Taylor. And then there's Henry. He's already won this award twice. What I find the most interesting about this is that his line actually dropped to under 1,200 yards. It's now 1,180.5 for his total rush yards for the season. It was 1,225.5 before the D-Hop news. Both Chubb and Taylor are at over 1,200. Like, it doesn't matter who you add on receiver, what kind of weapons you add. The Tennessee offense is still going to run through King Henry. Despite coming off that Lisfranc injury last year, he still had a monster season. If anything, I do believe that D-Hop will actually open the field up a little bit more for him. I like him to get the hat trick on this award. And last but certainly not least, and this one is just full chalk, but I'm taking the Chiefs to win the AFC West. Broncos should be improved, still not at Kansas City level. The Raiders, too many questions at quarterback, even though I love Jimmy Garoppolo. Chargers are always going to charge. You can't trust them. I don't know what this number would have to be for me not to take the Chiefs to win their division. But those are my 5 bets heading into the season.
I dig them.
What do we think?
I mean, no insane long shots, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at all. Obviously, I think the Chiefs should be minus 250 to win the AFC West. Like, they are so much better. The Raiders, no offense to Jimmy G and Josh McDaniels, like, they just don't have the roster to compete in that division unless they get like an insane amount of breaks that go their way. I think Russell Wilson, Sean Payton is a massive upgrade for Russell Wilson. And, the Chargers with Justin Herbert, like that roster and that quarterback, they should be a playoff team, but they even if they get in the playoffs, they find a way to charger it up. So the Chiefs to me should be minus 250. Patrick Mahomes coming off the MVP season, not going to slow down. Andy Reid always in his bag. They, no matter what the attrition they have is, they find a way to figure things out and to win that division. So I love the Chiefs at that AFC West. I mean, I like all of these, frankly. I almost had AFC North as a Super Bowl winning division in mind, and then I realized that you were probably going to have it, so I bailed and went to something else. And then I touted McCaffrey 11-1 is like so short for a full season, but the full season, like he gets a full season with Kyle Shanahan and a full off season, and so there's no telling like how big he could go this year. So I think Alex, my two. I mean, the three that I like the best out of this are the Chiefs, but Chiefs in order: Chiefs and then McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year, and then AFC North Super Bowl winning division. But I think all look pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think all look really solid. I really like that AFC North bet as well. I just think this is a great spot for a potential bounce back season for Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens could be very, very sneaky here. Definitely Super Bowl aspirations. So love that spot. Obviously, we know about the Bengals, Joe Burrow, and then Deshaun Watson, I think has a lot of untapped upside with that Browns team. So I like that look quite a bit. McCaffrey as well for Offensive Player of the Year. I think if you extrapolate that season over the course of 16, 17 games, would have certainly been in contention for the award. Another year plus an actual off season with Kyle Shanahan. I just think he's going to put up absolutely monstrous numbers. Really just comes down to durability as far as I'm concerned. If he stays healthy 16 games, then I think he's pretty close or will have very good odds, good chance to win the award there. And then, how can you go wrong with the Chiefs to win the division? So those three are my favorite picks as well, Will. So I am
nice.
With you there. I would say probably in order of Chiefs first, AFC North second, and then C-Mac being my third favorite.
All right. Well, we got an easy one for Katie's first one. It's the Chiefs to win the AFC West. I love it. I saw it on the screen. It was like, damn it. Forgot to add that to my list. But my list chalky, is like,
At what number would that be for you not to bet that?
Minus 300.
AFC West.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs were like plus 160 last year to start the season. So, I think they're just still underpriced a little bit because they haven't done anything splashy this offseason per se. They lose Orlando Brown. I mean, obviously, you get Juwan Taylor in there, but he's moving to right tackle. I mean, it's just like there's nothing like that they've done that's like mind blowing. But they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and there's also a chance like somebody like Sky Moore takes a big leap. So I mean, to me, I think it's 300 minus 3. If they were minus 300, I wouldn't bet it. But anything like under anything in the twos, I would probably take.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
I think it's good value.
Chiefs to win the AFC West is the Mox lock of these picks. We're going to take a quick break here watching Pick Six. When we get back, Propstars is sharing his 5 best bets ahead of the season. All right, Propstars, you are up. Give us your 5 best bets. 50 days to kick off. I'm doing that so much because it just makes me feel amped to say it.
I am so fired up, guys. So I went deep into the bag here. I went for a lot of long shots, stuff with some good odds. So first up, I'm going to go Hassan Reddick to either finish with the most sacks, which you can find around 18-1, or potentially win Defensive Player of the Year. Reddick had a dominant debut season with the Philadelphia Eagles, finished with 16 sacks, second only to Nick Bosa in the league. When Jonathan Gannon was asked about how he felt about Reddick potentially winning Defensive Player of the Year award, he said that if he hadn't dropped him into coverage so much, that he likely would have had 20-plus sacks. That might sound like hyperbole, but I actually believe I agree with that. He was covering tight ends way too much, in my opinion. That's something I think we're going to see change this year with Sean Desai as the defensive coordinator for the Eagles as well. He had the fewest pass rush snaps, only 428 of any player that finished in the top 10 in sacks.
Wow.
So I still feel like there's a lot of upside here, Will. So I really like this spot for Reddick. I think he is a dominant edge defender, plays the run very well, as well, sort of an underrated aspect of his game. But just as far as pure pass rushers are concerned, I think he is as good as any player in the NFL right now. I also think it helps being on this dominant Eagles team, which improved their front seven. So I think that the Eagles defense potentially could be the number one defense, or at least a top 5 defense, and then we're looking at potentially the best player on that defense. So usually there's a correlation there with winning defensive player of the year when we're talking about a defense that has this much potential. So I like Reddick to potentially win the award, or even potentially post 20 plus sacks here. Then we're going to go Emmanuel Forbes to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. This was Commanders draft pick, selected 16th overall. He was a 3-year standout in the SEC. He had 14 interceptions as a 3-year starter, returned 6 of those for touchdowns. That is an NCAA record. He has elite ball skills for a corner. He looks like a wide receiver playing cornerback. I also think he's going into a really good situation. The Commanders quietly had a very good defense, also had a top 5 secondary as well as far as yards allowed. So he's stepping into a good situation, in my opinion, and then offers plenty of playmaking ability. Going to be in the NFC East, probably tasked with slowing down CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown. So we'll get a lot of attention there. I think there's just a lot of similarities between Sauce Gardner and Forbes, honestly. I think they play with a similar swag as well. So I think this guy is a great look at around 20-1 to potentially win Defensive Rookie of the Year award. So I like that one quite a bit. And then we're going to go to Chicago. I think this Bears team is getting a little too much hype, guys. I like an all total here, under 5.5 wins. I just think they're a long ways away before they're competing for the division or even flirting with a 500 record. I think Justin Fields is obviously extremely dynamic, dual threat quarterback. He displayed some unbelievable upside, but the talent is undeniable. I just have massive durability concerns with him. Just takes way too many unnecessary hits. 55 sacks, led the NFL last season as well. I thought the Bears would really prioritize upgrading their offensive line more in the offseason. I didn't really think they did enough there outside of the draft pick that they made, the top 10 tackle there. But I just think when you go out and you pay 2 off-ball linebackers, which they did, rather than improving the defensive line, they don't really have a viable edge rusher, rather than really kind of adding more additions to their offensive line as well. I just think there's very little depth in the trenches for the Bears, both offensively and defensively. There's so many holes. This was a historically bad defense last season. I do not really see it being any different this year. And then I just think Fields, it's a long shot for him to get through 17 games. So I think this Bears team is going to really struggle. I think they're going to give up a ton of points. So I like their alt total under 5.5 wins here. Then we're going to go to Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs to potentially win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can find this around 10-1 odds. When he was selected 12th overall by Detroit, guys, I was a little perplexed with the whole thing, right? But like more and more as I studied Gibbs, his game tape and kind of the pick, I actually kind of fell in love with both him and the situation. Obviously, we know Bijan Robinson drafted 4 picks in front of him. He's the overwhelming favorite to win this award. I believe he's about plus 250, but I think Gibbs should be a lot closer. He is an elite talent, in my opinion, offers one of the more versatile skill sets of any running back in the NFL. Reminds me a lot of like an Austin Eckler, Jamal Charles, Alvin Kamara. I think he just has incredible receiving skills and just elite acceleration, and he's stepping into a great situation in Detroit. They have a great offensive line. They only have David Montgomery standing in his way as well. I also heard rumblings that the Lions were comfortable originally taking Gibbs at 6th overall. So I think they've had plans, big plans for him in this offense for a very long time. I think he's going to come in. He's playing in a soft division, plays in a dome. He's got a quarterback in Jared Goff who loves checking down, loves peppering the running backs with targets. We also have a bit of an idea of what the role will potentially look like, looking at DeAndre Swift, who was very productive, couldn't stay on the field much. But yeah, I think Gibbs is like a 2.0 version of that and just possesses one of the most elite skill sets of any running backs in the NFL. I think he's going to hit the ground running. I think he has a great shot to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then we're going to go a little contrarian here. I'm going to fade Tyreek Hill under 1,300 receiving yards. That is just a gargantuan number, whether your name's Tyreek Hill, whether your name's Justin Jefferson, just very big. Hill can have a great season and still stay under 1,300 yards. In 5 of his 7 years in the NFL, he's been held under this. He averages 1,191 yards per game over his career. I just think with Tua, I think he's one concussion away from a potentially career-ending injury. So that kind of casts a lot of doubt over Tyreek's season. And then if Tua stays healthy, Tyreek, obviously, when you're talking about a guy with that much speed, a soft tissue injury here or there, could miss a couple games. And then he had the most productive season of his career. From a historical standpoint, when you have an outlier season like that, you typically are a major regression candidate in the following year. So I just think this is way too big of a number. I think it should be closer to 1,200, maybe 1,150 here. So yeah, I'm going to go under on Tyreek, 1,300 yards as well. I
like them all. I mean, look, the Tyreek thing, I that's not going to be at the top of my list, but I completely agree. It's one of those where the number's absurd. I mean, he went over 1,300 twice in his career. Once in 2018 when he had 137 targets. And then last year when he had 170 targets. I mean, he had 159 in Kansas City in 2021. So I mean, like it's not insane that he could get up to 170 targets is a ton for a guy like Tyreek Hill. I think they wanted to make sure that it was, he was, let everybody know that he was worth what they paid for him and the trade and all of that. And of course he was in terms of production on the field. But yeah, if Tua's down, all of a sudden this number you could see him hit 1,200, have a great year, have 1,200, 10 touchdowns, have a monster year, but not get 1,700. So I don't mind that one. I love the Reddick stuff. I think I would go more sacks. I would go most sacks over DPOY only because when you go most sacks, like I love the fact that the stat least number of pass rush attempts of all those guys in the top 10, but like you don't bring in the human element in it as much with the DPOY thing or with the most sacks, because DPOY you're relying on people literally like Pete Prisco who are voting this, and who knows what that maniac could do at any point in time. Whereas most sacks, you just get the most sacks and you win. Like he could get up to 21 and you've already locked it in. So I think my top 3 here would be Bears alt under 5.5 wins. I've thought about this like 50 times, but everyone is convinced that the Bears psychologically are convinced that the Bears were the 9th worst team in football last year because they picked it number 9 because that trade happened so early. No, they were the worst team in football. They stunk. Their offense was completely like nothing until they said, screw it, we're going to let Justin Fields run. And Justin Fields started really running for his life. And he was like the most sacked and led the, like all quarterbacks in rushing yards. Like that is not a sustainable offense. And DJ Moore is great. They upgraded the offensive line, but these are not pieces that suddenly take you from the worst team in football to a 10-win team. And I think that's what Bears fans are expecting. So you're getting the 3-1 and they just have to win 5 games. They can go 5-12 and have a good season because Justin Fields looks better. The off-ball linebackers are key for Matt Eberflus's defense, but I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to come in and change everything. You still need a secondary. You still need, a pass rush. I don't think they have enough there after stripping it all down. So that's 1 for me. I'll go Reddick most sacks at 2. And I think if you do most sacks, you should sprinkle defensive player of the year as well, because it's 25-1. And, he could not get the most sacks and still win defensive player of the year, although that would be a little surprising. I like the Forbes thing too. He's just a ball hawk and a playmaker. You need to score touchdowns as a cornerback to win defensive rookie of the year. We saw that with Marcus Peters, and maybe there was somebody else who did it recently. But Gibbs, I think, too. So Gibbs is my 3rd. So Bears 1, Reddick 2, and then Gibbs 3. Gibbs, like to your point, Alex, the Lions love this guy. And we might not like the idea of taking a running back in the 1st round or taking a guy who's not like a special generational prospect at number 12. But the reality is he's going into a great situation with a really good offensive line and not a ton of competition. So you have to be able to separate. I don't like this pick because it's a running back that early with this guy could still win offensive rookie of the year, and he's overpriced because people don't like the setup. When Detroit, in reality, much better opportunity than Atlanta to run the ball aggressively, especially in the second half.
I agree. First of all, I like all of these, and I like all of the ones that Brinson likes. Slightly different order here.
By the way, you guys are not going to like all of mine. I can promise that.
Okay. Can't wait. Can't wait for the Brinson model TM. So Tyreek Hill under 1,300.5 receiving yards. It's not something that I would have originally thought of Propstars. So I do appreciate you putting this on here. And yes, the fact that he hasn't gone over this number, but maybe twice, and he doesn't average around this number, and all of the question marks with Tua do put up a lot of question marks to what Tyreek Hill. Now, he did come off of his best year ever, as you said, and a lot of those, a few of those games at least, he did not have Tua at center, but this is a very, very inflated number. So I agree with you on that one. The Chicago Bears, I don't know, maybe because my dad's from Chicago, I feel a little bit like they're going to be better this year. Yes, they only had 3 wins. They were the worst team in the NFL last year. To get them to 5 wins, 2 more wins makes sense. I kind of believe that. I don't think they're going to get this. Their real line is 7.5. I think they're going under that. I don't think they're an 8-win team. I can see them getting over 5, but I'm not mad at this value at plus 290. So I'll put that as my second. But I actually really love this Hassan Reddick to have the most sacks. I mean, you look at last year, and it's like you said, Propstars, he set a record for the Eagles with most sacks in a single season. He had 3.5 sacks in the postseason in 2 games alone. I actually bet him, the Super Bowl, there is an expansive menu from our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook on what you can bet. There was a multiple sack prop for Hassan Reddick, and I hammered that so fast. It was at like plus 500 or something really crazy, because I thought about that 2020 game when he was with the Cardinals. He had 5 sacks in a single game. I thought there's no way that this guy isn't going to get to the quarterback. And guess what? 0 sacks in the Super Bowl. So he's got a little chip on his shoulder too. He's going to come out there, be hungry this year. Love him to get the most sacks. And yes, if you're going to do that, you got to sprinkle a little bit on Defensive Player of the Year. So Brinson, we have to figure out, are we going to go Hassan Reddick sacks? Because we both really like that one. I know that the Bears are your number one.
No, we go Reddick. Yeah, go Reddick, but just make sure we get Defensive Player of the Year as well. So
yes.
I don't know, half. I mean, you do half a unit each, maybe. Okay,
yeah,
or 3, 3/4, 0.75 and 0.25, something like that. I mean, I don't know, Alex. Would you think they're pretty even in terms of how you like? If he has the most sacks, he's probably winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's how I personally feel, and I just feel, I totally agree with your point too. Will, I would rather I'd like the sacks look a little bit more as the Defensive Player of the Year is more narrative based, and that's more kind of statistical based. If he has 20 sacks,
he could have 20, and I mean, I'm just using him as an example because he came on. Like Nick Bosa could have a monster final 3 games and finish with 19.5, and people could say, well, the Niners got the 1 seed and the Eagles got the 2 seed, so we're going to vote for Nick Bosa as Defensive Player of the Year, even though Reddick beats him out in sacks. Like, that's a totally viable scenario, and you don't want to be caught holding just the Defensive Player of the Year. And Agreed. Then he leads the league in sacks, and you're like, oh my God. And you don't want to be caught with just most sacks. And then it's reversed where Nick Bosa has 20, Eagles get the 1 seed, Reddick goes nuts the final 3 games of the season. Like, that's why you probably want to chop it up a little bit. Yeah,
I'm probably going like a 3/4 unit and then a 1/4 unit if we're just talking 1 unit here. Yeah, and I do want to say, Katie, I blame the field condition for Reddick not cashing that bet for you in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he was. I couldn't believe that there was no sacks, and yes, the field
0
condition
sacks.
was really really bad, because it was. I think the line was like a 1.5 or something, and I was like, oh, all day Hassan Reddick is getting there, but that's neither here nor there. All right, Brinson, the Brinson model is up.
Are we taking a break, or are we straight to mine? Okay,
we're going straight through the break. The break comes later.
Oh, that's right. Brinson model starts off with Ramondre Stevenson over 6.5 touchdowns. Stevenson 5 rushing touchdowns in each of the last 2 years. 133 carries as a rookie, 210 carries last season in totality. I think you see that ramp up. You see the departure of Damian Harris, and it's very clear that they believe he can be their bell cow back. He's gotten to 5 as a rookie, where Harris got, I believe, more carries. And then last year, when Matt Patricia was his offensive coordinator, looking at red zone rush attempts, he got 50% even last year inside the 20 of the team's rush attempts, 62%, of rushes inside the 10, and 70. Oh no, sorry, I was looking at that wrong number. That's and 68%, 60% inside the 10, and 58% inside the 5. In other words, Ramondre Stevenson was already getting most of the carries near the goal line. So I was looking at Zeke Elliott, who, by the way, got 70% inside the 5. That's just hilarious. Stevenson, but yeah, because Jerry just wanted to feed him inside the 5 so he could justify having him on the roster. But the Stevenson is just going to get those carries close to the goal line. And when you think about last year's offenses, New England was dead last in red zone scoring percentage because Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator, not an offensive coordinator. So if New England's red zone percentage conversion with Bill O'Brien even gets up to 50, like 15th in the league, average in the league, 16th, whatever you want, Ramondre Stevenson will see many more rushes inside the red zone, going to lead to many more touchdowns. To me, this number I don't know that it should be a lot higher, but I think that it's a little low. It probably should be 7.5 instead. Atlanta Falcons, alt over 10.5 wins.
Wow.
How could I possibly regret this one? Plus 250. The Falcons schedule is just a joke, man. I mean, it's like they have, I believe they're top 5 in terms of easiest schedules in the NFL that John Breach has broken it all down. You can check that on CBSSports.com. Of course, they get their 6 games against the NFC South. Carolina, well, as I'll show in a second, I think could be a lot better than people expect. The Buccaneers, Pete Prisco's a little bit high on them, but I don't know, man. Baker Mayfield and questions on the offensive line. And then the Saints, like, I still don't buy into this coaching staff necessarily and don't think that adding Derek Carr just gives them that big of a boost. And then early on, they get the Panthers at home, Green Bay at home, at Detroit, at Jacksonville at home, and Houston at home, Washington at home. That's their first 6 games. Like, it's not insane that they start 6-0. I don't think that they'll do it, but like they're getting the 2 trendy teams on both sides of the league in Detroit and Jacksonville. Those are their 2 toughest games: at Tampa, at Tennessee, Minnesota at home, at Arizona. That's their first 10 games. Like, I mean, if the Falcons are remotely decent, and Desmond Ridder doesn't turn the ball over, the defense is improved, and this Bijan Robinson rushing attack, like, they're going to be in all of those games. And I think they could win like upwards of like 5 of them. And then so all of a sudden you still have Indianapolis, you still have the Bears, you still have the Jets is not a good game, but like they have a lot of winnable games. I think they'd be better than people think. I think they can get over that 10.5 wins at the plus 250. That's the only reason why we do the alternate. Matthew Stafford, MVP. Nobody's going to like that one. But look, you can't find an MVP bet that is a reasonably possible outcome at 50-1 or better anymore. In 2018, Patrick Mahomes was like 75-1. 2019, Lamar Jackson was like 75-1. And the books got so burnt by those, they just don't give anybody with any reasonable chance to be MVP at 50-1 or more. Like the guys that he's listed with are like Jordan Love and Kirk Cousins. No, I know you love Cousins, Katie, but like he's just Pete Prisco will never vote Cousins for MVP. Stafford, if they have a big bounce back season, they win the division. The Rams are way better than people expect. It's not crazy that Stafford could be in the mix for this. 50-1 is just the best number you're going to see for a reasonable, like non-Sam Darnold type, who I almost included. Isaiah Pacheco, most regular season rush yards. I like the Sam Darnold, 150-1. 50-1 there for Pacheco. We've seen Kareem Hunt lead the league in rushing. As Jason Lockenfora pointed out, Andy Reid seemed to kind of lean on the running game a little bit in the second half. Wouldn't be surprising if they decide to be a little more run heavy this year, take some of the burden off of Patrick Mahomes, in games where they don't exactly have to. And Pacheco is just a violent runner behind a really good offensive line with a great play caller. He doesn't need to have elite vision to be good in this Chiefs offense. So Pacheco 50-1, most regular season rush yards. Plus the Chiefs could have tons of leads and be salting the game away. And then the Panthers, best regular season record. I don't think this is happening, but it's 150-1. They are, again, go back to the Bears thing. They were the 9th worst team in football. They were not the worst team in football. They add a quarterback. What if Bryce Young is great and this coaching staff is a massive upgrade? They're in a terrible division. Schedule's a little bit tougher than the Falcons, but they are definitely better. Should be better than 150-1. So I felt like I woke up today feeling dangerous, to quote Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So I threw some long shots out there. And I fully expect the consensus pick to be the Ramondre Stevenson one here.
Yeah,
I like the full court heave with the Panthers look. Yeah. Really. Go big or go home, Will. So, but I do really like the Ramondre Stevenson look. 6.5 touchdowns. I agree that number should be a minimum of 7.5. Love Ramondre in this offense as well. I think he's going to get the bulk of the work. I think he's going to be heavily featured in the red zone. I think 7-8 touchdowns is well within the majority of his range of outcomes as well. I like the Falcons look quite a bit as well. I could see things breaking for them. I still have Desmond Ridder shares, guys. I'm still a believer. I still think there's a lot of upside there. Yeah, if he's even just like a viable starter, we're talking about one of the most dynamic offenses in the league. We saw how effectively they ran the ball last year. They were in pretty much every single game. No one really blew the Falcons out last year. So, yeah, I like that quite a bit. And then I could see the Stafford. I had 50-1. I do think that's, sprinkle worthy, maybe, Katie. So, yeah, that's a good look as well. And then what else did we have? We had
Pacheco, most rush yards, 50-1, and Panthers. I mean, look, those three are 50-1, 50-1, 150-1. Like they are, like when you throw those out there, they are not likely to happen. Like it is
we're talking a long shot. We're talking lottery tickets here, and that's kind of the name of the game, right? So I like the Pacheco look, actually. Andy Reid has never really been a committee back guy. I think that was more a necessity of just lacking, having a guy that he's confident enough to give the bulk of the carries to. So I think Pacheco definitely had a lot of burst. He's not going to need to catch passes out of the backfield. I think he's going to just primarily be the first and second down runner in one of the most, effective, efficient offenses in the NFL. And I do think he's going to get almost all of that work. So I like Pacheco look quite a bit. I would say my favorite is Ramondre, Pacheco being my second favorite, and then the Falcons all team total as my third.
Look, the Brinson model did not disappoint. It brought the lottery tickets that we know and love from Will Brinson. Brinson, as much as I love you, I cannot get on board with the Matt Stafford. I don't care if it's 50-1. I don't care that, that they never have that level of value. Now, as everyone knows, I am a 49ers fan, so I'm a card-carrying member of the Rams hater club. And honestly,
he won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Like, we are not that far removed from him winning the Super Bowl. I think he led the league in
Okay, but the team is far removed from the team that they were when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, outside of Stafford, Kupp, Donald, and the coach and McVay. Anyway, so I'm not going to do that. I love Ramondre Stevenson over the 6.5 as well. As you said, he's had 5 in the last 2 years, and he had, a defensive coordinator as his offensive coordinator. So the sky is the limit with Bill O'Brien, as far as I'm concerned. That is my favorite bet. I also am not mad at Pacheco, 50-1. Obviously, we know I like King Henry there, but for all the reasons that you guys said, I do think that has a lot of value. Seems like we're going to go Ramondre Stevenson over the 6.5 touchdowns as the consensus.
By the way, I want one more. I just want to list some names and numbers just in defense of the Matthew Stafford thing. And this is right. Maybe more of a broader complaint about how the
Matthew Stafford, though, Brinson. You have to
with all my heart, yes. But Geno Smith, Justin Fields, 25-1 to win MVP. Get the F out. Geno Smith, 35-1. Are you kidding me? Derek Carr, 40-1. Jared Goff, 40-1. I actually don't hate Goff at 40-1. Deshaun Watson, 40-1. I'm not like Deshaun Watson is not going to win MVP. He will not win MVP because the people who vote on it will be told, do not vote for Deshaun Watson. And if you want to, like Trey Lance, 40-1. What? Russell Wilson, 45-1. Brock Purdy, 45. Russell Wilson never got a vote. Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray's 50-1 to win the MVP. He might not play. Jordan Love, 50-1.
I see where you're going.
Taking a stand against these outrageous numbers.
Comparatively speaking, I get it. Yeah. The rest of the field, a lot. Yeah. But one more thing I do love about the Ramondre look is, and you probably mentioned this, Will, but no Damian Harris there to siphon touchdowns. 15, just 2 years removed from scoring 15 touchdowns. I think that is absolutely huge. We just know, again, the Patriots love to run the ball in the red zone as well. So, yeah, I think double-digit touchdowns. I even think, like, if there's an alt total for Ramondre to score, like 10+, that would be a good look as well, potentially.
Okay, we need to take a quick break here. We have our top 3 from each of us for the Pick 6 podcast, top 5 bets. We got to make 2 more after the break. You're watching the Pick 6 podcast. How many times can I say that? We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Billy, do you want to throw up our 3 bets that we have selected from each of us?
Try to see if I can find a most regular season rushing touchdowns. Just see what Ramondre was.
So I don't have. I have. I'm working on a graphic for the 3, but I do have the bets that we have remaining to choose from. So I do have a list of for you guys to see.
Great. Okay. So remaining to choose from me, we got Mahomes, Burrow, Allen to win MVP plus 190 versus the field. We've got the AFC Super Bowl winning division, AFC North, that should say winning division plus 340. You got McCaffrey, and then I feel like nobody really cares too much about Derrick Henry most rushing yards.
I think you can probably take your first and your last off. I think
off. Okay.
Because we know I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying like we.
No, I know.
Like if we're gonna consider and take the Mahomes, Burrow, Allen one off. So we can consider those two. Let's go to. You can just take mine off because y'all are not gonna get on.
I don't. Leave
I like the Pacheco look a lot.
I leave Pacheco on there. Leave Pacheco.
I
Take
like
the other
the
ones
Pacheco
off.
look a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I think I do too. I actually was surprised. I was like, whoa. Wasn't. I was sort of just sifting through that list. I was like, wow, Pacheco's down there at 50-1.
Second year running back as well.
Yeah.
Just has like arrow. There's still upside that's untapped.
Yeah.
And as we've seen it, dating back to Brian Westbrook, Jamal Charles, like whoever is that back in that Reed offense, he's going to get 80% of the touches. And
I think the only running back to really ever explode as a rookie with Andy Reid is Kareem Hunt, who actually led the league.
Right.
But
he won the rushing title. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think for Alex's, we take off the Bears because Haiti didn't love it. And then, right?
Kelly, Haiti, Katie.
Did I say I said Katie, right?
Sounded like Haiti.
Haiti? That's my name when you don't
the
like
entire
something.
Country of Haiti.
Yeah. No. When Katie Mox doesn't like something,
when I'm being Haiti. A hater.
Old Haiti Mox up here.
I turn into Haiti.
I don't think I said Haiti. Haiti, Kelly. Yeah, that's a new one. So what? I think we both like the McCaffrey. Well, I don't want to force my Pacheco. What do you think about Pacheco, Katie? Haiti.
Well, I'm not going to be Haiti. I'm going to be Kelly on this one, and I love Pacheco. So
why don't we add the Pacheco as one of our top
I think
5?
We can add the Pacheco for
that
sure.
way. It's like if that hits and like and we go 1-4, we'd still like cash because Pacheco.
So my question to you guys for the next pick, at least, like, are we looking for something as far as the criteria is concerned? Are we looking for something that we have the most confidence in to cash, or are we looking for something that's more of like, going to deliver long odds? If that's the case, then I'd feel more comfortable with Katie's bets, potentially McCaffrey there, or just it kind of depends on what we're looking to accomplish.
I was thinking we go with another running back, whether it was CMC or why don't we just do 6?
That works too.
Yeah. So let's add Gibbs and McCaffrey on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think the Gibbs one is a legit good look. Like running backs win if a quarterback doesn't win this, like running backs win this award.
Yes. I think Gibbs should be second as well behind obviously Bijan. To me, like the fact that 5 or 6 players have better odds than Gibbs is totally out of whack.
I think that if the Lions look really good in the preseason, and Gibbs, and like if Gibbs has a great training camp, actually, you know what? Training camp starts soon. If Gibbs has a good training camp, starts with a good training camp, he'll get down to 3-1 because running backs just have more opportunity as rookies, and you don't have to win as a quarterback to win. Like Richardson, Young, and Stroud could all steal the award, but we don't know that those teams are going to be great, and if they struggle. And those quarterbacks don't play well, or maybe like they sit. I mean, who knows? I think they'll all play, but like Gibbs could easily win this award behind a good Lions team with a good offensive line. If the Lions go like 10-7 or 11-6, whatever you want to do, and they win the division, and like Gibbs has 1,200 rushing yards, he's going to be like very likely to win that award, unless you get the Panthers winning the division and Bryce Young is great, or Anthony Richardson has a monster year, dual threat, etc.
And I would also contest that rookie running backs typically have a lot more success than rookie quarterbacks
for sure
as well. And then also just breaking down Gibbs' skill set, I really think he is going to be heavily featured in the passing game, which is just going to immediately translate to just a lot of big playability and just, he's going to be lighting up some box scores.
We saw DeAndre Swift, when he was out there, Swift had so many chances to put up big numbers.
Yep.
Like so many opportunities to go big. And if Gibbs is healthy, like what did Swift finish with? Swift had 148 targets the last 2 years.
Swift was averaging close to 100 scrimmage before the season last year, where he was hurt for the majority of the year. But in the first 2 years, he was averaging close to 100 scrimmage yards per game. And yeah, I think Gibbs.
And he wasn't even playing that much.
And he wasn't playing that much. I think Gibbs is a more dynamic version of that as well. Obviously, if you're considering him at pick 6, they have tremendous confidence in his ability. And just, I think that role for him is going to be clearly defined. I think he's just going to immediately step into being heavily featured in what is potentially one of the better offenses, at least in that division or potentially the NFC.
I'd also point out, too, that by adding a 6 bet, it makes this graphic look a lot better because it says pick 6.
First of all, what a missed opportunity. Yes.
Yeah. From Jump Street, really, like when the podcast started, it's like pick 6. It's like, oh, are you picking 6 things? No, it's just a name. Yeah. We should really, instead of 5, we should always get a 6 for picks.
We should always pick 6. We should always pick 6.
Like,
all right, let's recap these.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. I was going to say, let's recap these for the people listening that don't visually see this pick 6 graphic. We are taking Chiefs to win the AFC West at -165, Hassan Reddick to record the most sacks at +1,800, plus sprinkle a little bit on Defensive Player of the Year, +2,500. Ramondre Stevenson over 6.5 touchdowns at -120. Most regular season rush yards, Isaiah Pacheco, 50-1. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, Offensive Rookie of the Year at +900, and Christian McCaffrey to get the Offensive Player of the Year at +1,100. Those are our pick 6, top six bets going into the season. You know, it's a little bit of a tongue twister as well.
It's a pick 6.
Oh God, don't even get me started on saying that. I will really try to do this and incorporate pick 6 somehow in there.
Do it.
All right.
Or we wrap the show up.
Or we wrap the show up. All right, everyone. Propstars, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to have you on many more times in the season. You are a real treat, Brinson. Always a treat to talk with you. Make sure you join us all week for the remainder of our all 32 series, summer mini series, where we sit down with insiders from each team and give you the need to know information ahead of the season. Remember to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube page. For everyone listening to the audio version only, download, follow, leave a 5-star review, and tell your friends to listen and watch the pod. We'll see you next time.